Hello, everybody. All right, so welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, Thursday, November 14th, 2024. We are, of course, a couple weeks out from Thanksgiving, so I hope everybody's had a good week this week. As we're at the latter end here. Before we get into everything, of course, we're going to give people a chance to come in. But if you, of course, haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Oh, with that being said, as I said, we're just going to wait a couple minutes here, give people a chance to come in. So, la 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 la. La 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 la. Let's see. And I said, if feel free to ask any questions if there's anything on your mind. Excuse me one moment. I'm gonna put some music on for a quick moment while I take care of something here. Hopefully, anyways. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. Just was trying to deal with something here, but anyways, let's see. We're now at the 3 minute mark. Let me just go ahead and do something real quick here. All right. So with that being said, guess I'll talk about what's on tap for tonight. So we're gonna go over one article from Bleeding Fool. Um, so of course, we're gonna see some reactions to from the comics industry. To President Trump's re-election to the presidency. And they're not all bad. Some of them are actually positive. So we'll look at that. We'll look at some of those reactions. Also, of course, we'll have our wrestling wrap up, get you caught up on, on all the latest in WE, AEW, and TNA, as TNA will have their Impact show tonight. Also, we'll have This Day in Each History. So, let me just do one more thing here, and then we will go ahead and All right, so let's go ahead and get started then. Let me pull up the article here in the share screen. All right, there we go with that. All right, so, and of course, the article is from our old buddy, Avi Green. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Vibe check. Comics industry reacts to Donald Trump's landslide victory. Article by Avi Green, published earlier today. So there's one of the more famous or infamous, depending, um, promo pics of President Trump during his campaign. Of course, the black and white photo with him pointing. But let's get into this. So Avi starts out here. It's been a week or so since the USA election that saw Donald Trump become the second presidential candidate since Grover Cleveland in the late 19th century to be reelected on non consecutive terms. So, for those who may not know, Grover Cleveland was our 22nd and 24th president. Um, his first term was from 1885 to 1889. Then he was defeated in the 1888 election by Benjamin Harrison, the grandson of William Henry Harrison. And then was reelected in 1892 to serve from 1893 to 1897 as the 24th. Grover Cleveland was. So, predictably, the far left creators of comicdom had plenty of negativity to serve up on social media following an election for which Trump was reelected based on serious issues that have been badly damaging the USA and elsewhere. For example, Mark Wade. Mark Wade in a tweet said, and this is a tweet that's been covered before, even if by some miracle this turns around, I don't believe in the basic goodness of my fellow Americans anymore, and without this, I cannot write superheroes. There's no point. When you see a decline in the quality of my work soon, you'll be able to trace it back to this night. And then following up with that, planning on going dark on all social media and news feeds for a while starting tomorrow. See you down the road. I hope. Godspeed. And then, okay. We read it straight from the tweet, but Avi had even reprinted here. So back to Avi here. Back to Avi here. Considering he lost direction almost 2 decades ago, it's no loss if he retires from the profession. He's never championed fans of Mary Jane Watson, for example, nor fans of any DC characters who were wronged in the past 2 decades. And Wade's left-leaning positions have found their way into his writings, more noticeably in the past decade. There's all sorts of serious issues men like Wade could tackle, and they throw away every opportunity to do so because it doesn't fit the PC narrative of the left today. Now here's Patrick Zurcher. All right, so Patrick Zurcher right here. We blew an opportunity to have a woman for president. Is that a reason to vote for someone? Well, when we have never had one, it is. It would have done more for your sisters, friends, and daughters than you imagine. If the problem with voting for somebody based solely on something like that is stupid, especially if the candidate is proven not to be qualified. You know, um, so Wow, what theater of the absurd have we here? If Zurcher really wants the USA to one day have a lady president, much like the UK had Margaret Thatcher, and Italy now has Giorgia Meloni, then it should all be based on personality and talent. Recent polling surveys reveal that at least 40% of women under 30 voted for Trump. So 40% of women under 30. Now that's a pretty significant, demographic right there. Goes to show you that maybe Donald Trump is offering them something that Kamala isn't. Like maybe a better cost of living, maybe more the ability to buy more groceries for their family or fill up their cars for when they go to work. I don't know. Feel free to, of course, comment on it on some of these people's comments here. Anyways, let's get back to the article here. And it goes without saying that leftist policies hurtful to women clearly alienated a significant number of women. Mm-hmm. Like the whole transgender issue, right? Allowing men who say they want to be a woman and having them being allowed to share the same space as said sisters and daughters. This is the kind of stuff leftists like Zurcher virtually obscure in their ambiguous rants. Something tells me leftists like him don't consider Thatcher and Meloni admirable examples of lady politicians anyway because they were or are rightist. Well, I mean, look at what they're doing to like Tulsi Gabbard and Christy Nome right now, right? You got a former congresswoman who's a lieutenant colonel in the army, who President Trump is nominated, who is nominating for the Department of National Intelligence, and you have Christy Nome, who he's putting in as the Homeland Security the Department of Homeland Security Secretary. So, as well as, of course, Alyssa Stefanik for the UN position. Next is Jody Hauser. For the trans and queer folks in particular who are terrified right now, please know that you were very much on the minds of so many of us as we donated and campaigned and voted. And we will keep fighting for you to be able to live and thrive as yourselves. Yeah, a lot of that money that Kamala Harris raised, quote unquote, she's now in debt like $20 million or so. So, great job. So, if this is all that worries her, she clearly doesn't care about women's rights and safety by contrast, or even children's safeties. Some leftists sure did sell out to LGBT ideology, yet the biggest oxymoron would have to be that if Islamists don't want it, they won't force it on them. Peter Sanderson, a one-time Marvel DC employee, I guess him saying something. I am not looking forward to Trump's tariffs increasing the cost of my goods or his tax cuts undercutting finances for the Social Security and Medicare I am dependent on. It has been reported that when Trump was told about the January 6th rioters threatening Mike Pence's life, he said, "quote unquote," so what? Trump voters, Trump voters look at Trump's 34 convictions, his being held liable for serial assault, and $500 million in fraud. All this basically lawfare that everybody, like in the case of the 34 convictions, um, that was everybody knows that was baloney. The companies that he quote unquote cheated in some of that said that he did not cheat them. So lie that's been debunked. His undoing of Roe. Well, Trump wasn't the one who undid Roe. Okay, it was the Supreme Court, and they undid Roe. What they did in undoing Roe is they just put it back in the hands of the state. So states can still vote on whether or not they want to have abortion. Okay, all the Supreme Court did in undoing Roe was turn it back to the states. They just said that it was Roe versus Wade was unconstitutional because that's a state. That's the jurisdiction is within the states. His misogyny. How can you have misogyny when you basically nominated 4 women to your cabinet? You know, that makes no sense. I mean, Susie Wild, Alyssa Stefanik, Tulsi Gabbard, Kristi Noem, all capable women. Okay. So you can't say he's a misogynist because, I think he's proven that racism. Again, black men came out more to vote for Trump, I believe, than black and Hispanic men came out more to vote for Trump than anybody. An intent to prosecute his opponents and say, so what? I don't think he's going to prosecute his opponent. He's going to fire a lot of people who are doing him wrong, and they deserve to be fired. If anything, you're projecting what the left did to him there and say, so for them getting cheaper eggs, in parentheses, as if Trump will reduce food prices, is more important than actually, it is for a lot of people. It really is for a lot of people. The whole idea of, okay, you have on the one hand cheaper gas, cheaper groceries versus abortion and the LGBT. Most people day to day, I think would prefer the cheaper food and prices over having abortion and trans rights basically stuffed down their throats. It was interesting tonight to watch MSNBC show one by one which states went for Trump and which for Harris, as if enumerating the states that I don't want to visit because they are pro-authoritarian. No, they're pro-Constitution, buddy. Just as well, I can't travel beyond the Northeast for health reasons. Now back to Avi here. It's very sad to see yet another apparent leftist who'd worked in comicdom parroting narratives about Trump that were never proven indefinitely. All the while ignoring Joe Biden's own disturbing records. Mm-hmm. Now here's Mark Russell. I feel like maybe normalizing fascism for the last 4 years had something to do with this. Um, let's see. And then Avi responds to Mark Russell's comment here by saying, "What about all those times when the left normalized slurring Trump by comparing him to Hitler? How doesn't it occur to anybody that that's a most truly repulsive thing to say? Why won't they let go of such incendiary language?" And now here's Derek. Now I did tell you guys that there was some positive feedback, and there is later on in the article. But of course, we're going through all the negative stuff for so sometimes it's better to go with the downers first, then come back to the positives. All right, so continue on here. Let's see. So according to Derek Robertson here, we live in a cruel, selfish country. It's been so long. It's been so good for so long that will that that what will follow will be an ugly, ugly wake up call for those who think they've won tonight. I really believe people love their children, their daughters enough to end this madness. Owned. Yeah, well, I think people do. Um, but again, putting food on your child's table is more important to them and more sound than pushing the rights that they can kill their children in utero, or that they at 13 without their parents' permission can decide to have a sex change operation. Yeah. Let's see. And Avi replies here, but that's exactly why they voted for Trump, because they were fed up with the left's horrific ideologies that went way overboard, including the LGBT ideology that came at women's expense. And nobody of Robertson's standing even wants to say a word about. Say a word about. See, there's also Joseph Illage. Not promoting any of my projects today, thinking about you all. May we take care first and foremost of ourselves and each other, then get back to business. Let's see. And then Avi replies to him, well, if politics is all you care about, then it's difficult to believe you really care about comicdom. Here's also Yannick Paquette. How is this even real? Reality writers should be fired. It just makes no sense. It's like they're not even trying. WTF? And then Avi replies there, if the left really wanted to try, they would have avoided all the standings and went overboard with this past decade. Please consider. Now here's Jimmy Palmiotti. Now, when I saw this, I was a little surprised because I actually thought Jimmy Palmiotti was actually more base, but I guess I was wrong there. But anyways, so Jimmy woke up, turned on the TV, not happy, sad for the country, replied to some upset friends overseas. Now back to bed. So, and then and I think this is the last of the negative right here. Well, maybe not, but we'll see. If I may suggest stop. Well, let's see. Avi replies to Jimmy. If I may suggest, stop worrying over conservative beliefs that children should be able to grow up with their bodies intact. For example, start proving you have what it takes to take a critical view of leftists instead. There are some people in Hollywood who are. There are, fortunately, some right wingers who've had what to say. Mike Barron, so John Ringo, SF author. Oh, you sweet summer. This is, I guess, in response to Dana Lash. Um, oh, you sweet summer child. When have the Republicans ever not failed us? This is Dana Lash, who's of course, a conservative radio host. She was actually on the Blaze for a while. GOP GOP. You have a mandate. Use it. Slash spending. Reduce size and scope of government. Eliminate the income tax. Do it fast. Don't give the bureaucrats time to block you. Don't betray the vote. We invested in you. And I think Donald Trump is already starting to take that to heart. And then here's Mike Barron's response. Trump ain't like the others. Just look at his first term. In response to John Ringo. And this is got some back and forth between John Ringo and Mike Barron. Sadly, it takes more than just Trump to get real change done. And McConnell still in the Senate. Though War Turtle was a machine for getting judges in, I'll agree. Yeah, it does take more than Trump. And I think he realizes, and as for McConnell, yes, he's still in the Senate, but he's not, he retired. He stepped down from leadership there, John. So, now hopefully John Thune will work with Trump and won't try to block him like McConnell and some of the other establishment types did. But Mike Barron responding to John Ringo there. Trump's learned a lot, and so have the American people. I think we're going to hear a lot more from the common American. Yeah, I think basically many of middle America. It's funny, a lot of these elitists in comicdom, in Hollywood, in Washington D.C. They just absolutely hate, despise the majority of people in flyover country, as they call it. The only question is whether leftists like Mr. Ringo are willing to listen. Quite often, they're not. Next is Jim Steranko. Jim Steranko said, Trump is America's president and the best birthday present I could get. Thank you, henchmen warriors, for your service, your loyalty, and your relentless patriotism. And my terminal gratitude for the ideal, for the tidal wave of personal birthday wishes, my pals, the Brotherhood. So Jim Steranko is, it is not about the politicians who serve their country, but the patriots who aid their brothers, no matter creed, race, or color, to be safe and successful partners in the American dream. Divided America collapses. United, it's unconquerable. Choose wisely, my friends. As I recall, it was Abraham Lincoln who once said, "A house divided upon itself cannot stand." I think Jim Steranko just reiterated that point in that statement right there. And finally, here's Billy Tucci, teen sensation Billy Tucci. It's morning in America. You got the picture of the flag at dawn flowing about. We must definitely hope so. Well, what we do know is we do know that Trump is we do know that Trump is working hard to get things going. You know, he's already made some some people call him controversial moves in terms of some of his selections, but he knows to have his cabinet ready for the Senate to get right to confirming them, and for them to get right to work on the mandate that the American voters have put out there, much to the Washington establishment, the Hollywood elites, the mainstream comic pros, and just leftists everywhere, much to their chagrin. Let's see now. So let me see. So now with that being said, let's go. Let me go see if I can find. We have maybe a little squeeze time here. So let me just see if there's anything here that All right, we'll go back to Bleeding Fool here for a moment. And I went through all this earlier as well, just, but of course there weren't a whole lot of articles in there. And nothing new there from yesterday. Again, it's been kind of a slow news cycle, outside of some of the reactions to Trump's presidency. There hasn't really been a whole lot going on, apparently. I mean, we have covered some releases and all that. But nothing really stands out here in anime, cartoons, comics, pro wrestling, any of that. Nothing really there. All right, so let's see. What can we do now then? 33 minutes. Let's see. Let me try one more. And we covered that article yesterday. If you guys want to go back to that show and watch, when I went over the Elmer Fudd evolution article from Egghead Elmer. So I guess what I will talk about here, just some heads up stuff for this weekend, of course. So MeTV Tunes will be having Tis the Season for Tunes this Saturday from 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific to 7 East let's see. Yeah. To 8 Eastern. So yeah, 4-hour block, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. This Saturday, of course, they'll start off at 1 o'clock at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific with Sonic's Christmas Blast, followed by at 1:30 a Hollywood Hounds Christmas. Well, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. At 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 Pacific. Yogi's All-Star Comedy Christmas Caper, followed at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific, the Yo Yogi episode. And then at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, it will be probably one of my all-time favorite holiday classics, Yogi's First Christmas. As of course they got started on the. Um, don't know if they will get around to showing Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol. Thus far, they showed us, of course, Flintstones. Um, there'll be a few Christmas classics to look forward to. Um, and some stuff that probably never hasn't been seen before in years. Um, let's see now. So with that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and start the wrestling wrap up a little early here, a little earlier than I had intended. Um, so let's first talk about, of course, first talk about some WWE news. So there is some rumors in which some indications, some more possible returns coming back soon. As there's been some talk that Alexa Bliss may be coming back from her maternity leave sometime before the end of the year, maybe even early next year. John Cena has announced that. Well, John Cena had previously announced that, of course, 2025 will be his last year in the as an in-ring competitor, and he made the announcement he'll be making he'll be participating in his last Royal Rumble coming up this January. So there has been some hints dropped that maybe Cena will be looking to possibly take on Cody Rhodes at some point. There's also been some talk that he's looking possibly to break at least WWE's recognition of most world titles of 16. That's he's tied to Ric Flair with the most world titles as recognized by the WWE of 16. He's looking for a 17th world title. Anyways, we'll talk more about like what's going to go down on SmackDown tomorrow night. So right now, why don't we go ahead and look back to last night's AEW Dynamite as we move on to AEW news. As of course, Dynamite's coming up a week from Saturday here, next Saturday. Of course, the WWE will have its Survivor Series on the 30th, coming up in a couple, about 2.5 weeks there. But in a week and a half here, so last night's Dynamite, the opening match saw Christian Cage and Adam Page defeat the Bang Bang Gang. As Adam Page was able to get the pinfall on Juice Robinson of the Bang Bang Gang, as there's more with the help of some timely interference and some assistance from Mother Wayne and Kip Sabian. And then in a Falls Count Anywhere's match, Roderick Strong defeated Lance Archer. And in the non-title match, AEW International Champion Konosuke Takeshita got some help inadvertently, from MJF by having the dynamite ring, as it were, to knock out Cole. So now set up for Full Gear next Saturday. Roderick Strong will be taking on MJF after enduring through a very grueling Falls Count Anywhere match. Dr. Britt Baker made her return after a month off, defeating Penelope Ford with an incredible reversal, as Penelope Ford had Baker locked in a Muda lock, only for Dr. Britt Baker to reverse it by applying the mandible claw and switching it over into the lockjaw submission hold. Combination mandible claw, double scissored armbar. After the match, Serena Deeb came out to have a bit of a kind of a shouting match between the two, in which Deeb, calling herself the Professor, you have the Professor versus the Doctor as a potential matchup in the future there. So I guess we'll wait and see. Swerve Strickland defeated Lio Rush. And Lio Rush was trying to make an impression, only to be confronted after the match. Actually, he called out Bobby Lashley, but then ended up getting jumped from behind by Shelton Benjamin, in which the Hurt Syndicate of Montel Vontavious Porter, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin basically beat up on both Strickland and his manager. As Strickland is set to face Bobby Lashley at Full Gear, after, of course, Strickland has defeated over the last couple of weeks of Shelton Benjamin and Lio Rush. And in the main event, saw in the third of 4 Full Gear 4-Way Contenders Series tag team matches, the Kings of the Black Throne of Malachi Black and Brody King of course, House of Black, defeating FTR, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, in a very hard-fought match for the two teams, as Kings of the Black Throne have advanced to the 4-way match for the excuse me. Anyways, something just went down the wrong tube there. So, but for the fatal 4-way, or for the 4-way match, the AEW World Tag Team Championship, in which already signed for the match, of course, Private Party will be defending against, of course, the Outrunners and now the Kings of Black Throne. And the winner of this Saturday's last Contenders Tag Team match between the Acclaimed and the LFI members of, I believe, Roosh and Beast Mordos. So I guess we'll wait and see how that all pans out. In the main event, it did see a show of respect after the match between the Kings of the Black Throne and FTR, as it does seem like there does seem to be somewhat of a possible at least tweener turn, if not face turn, between, of course, within the House of Black. But with that being said, of course, some other stuff that happened on there, of course, leading into her upcoming match again, as Mercedes Moné is scheduled to defend the TBS championship for Statlander. Statlander was able to get a little bit of revenge after last week's attack by Moné. She ended up actually putting both Moné and Camille through a wall. Now, for me, I don't like this turn they've done with Camille. Camille, I think, deserves better than what she's getting right now. Here's a woman who held the NWA World Women's Championship for 4 years. She was a staple of one company, and then they bring her in. Okay, they initially brought her in to be the Moné's muscle, which is fine, but now they have Moné treating her like she's nothing, and that's just wrong. That's just disrespectful. I'm hoping they'll probably remedy that in the booking. Now, some people are saying that now AEW fans have been turning away from the product of late because they haven't liked much of the booking, and we're starting to see that. Also, of course, Will Ospreay called out Kyle Fletcher at the beginning of the show, which set up a match between the two for Full Gear. And then And then, of course, Fletcher's Don Callis family stablemates Takeshita, or not Takeshita, but Archer and Brian Cage came out afterwards. After Fletcher and Ospreay had their word play, only for Mark Davis and Hobbs to come out to back Ospreay up, which led to a big brawl between the 6 men, leading into Archer's match against Roderick Strong. And then also, we had a confrontation between, of course, what the faction now known as Death Riders and the Conglomeration. So, a lot going on for Dynamite. Heading into next Saturday's Full Gear. So stuff to be paying attention to. And finally, what we're gonna look at as well tonight, as they prepare for their Victory Road pay-per-view 2 weeks from tomorrow, as TNA has its Impact show on the night on Access TV. The matches include the Rascals teaming for the first time in about a month, as Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz will be taking on the duo of Alan Angels and Jay Christ. Rosemary will be taking on Jada Stone. Mike Santana takes on one half of the of First Class, Casey Navarro, who will have AJ Francis in the corner. Joe Hendry takes on Ryan Nemeth, as Nemeth looks to take a piece of Hendry for, I guess, humiliating him last week. In a non-title match, TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth will be taking on the System's Brian Myers. And also, in a 6-man tag match, the Northern Armory, led by, of course, Joshua Alexander, with Judas Icarus and Travis Williams, will be taking on the TNA threesome of Jonathan Gresham, Steve Macklin, and Eric Young. So that's all I have for you in the wrestling wrap-up. Now, with that being said, with today being Thursday, November 14th, 2024, let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. So, let me see here. 2018, 1999, and 2004. Okay, so with that, first I'm going to head back 25 years ago. And on this date, 25 years ago today, back in 1999, the WWE held its Survivor Series event in the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. The event, the main event of the show, saw the Big Show defeat Triple H and The Rock in a triple threat match for the WWF Championship. Also, the New Age Outlaws defeated Al Snow and Mankind to retain the WWF Tag Team Championship. China defeated Chris Jericho to retain the Intercontinental Championship. Let's see now, what else? And Kurt Angle defeated Sean Stasiak in just under 6 minutes. Now, for the Survivor Series elimination matchups, the team of the Godfather, D'Lo Brown, the Headbangers defeated the Dudley Boys and the Acolytes. In another Survivor Series elimination match, Val Venus teaming with Mark Henry, Gangrel, T. Blackman defeated the British Bulldog and the Mean Street Posse. In In the women's Survivor Series style match, and Mae Young, Fabulous Moolah, Tori, and Deborah defeat Ivory, Luna, Jacqueline, and Terry Reynolds. I apparently skipped over Kane defeating X-Pac by disqualification. The Big Show defeated the Big Boss Man, Prince Albert, Midian, and Viscera in a Survivor Series 4-on-1 handicap elimination match. And then let's see, Too Cool and the Hollies defeated Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys in another elimination match. So that's all. That's what we got for you there in that match. So on this date, 25 years ago today, WWE held its held its Survivor Series at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. Now moving on to 20 years ago today, on this date, 24 years ago today, Rich Crest Animation Studios' Muhammad the Last Prophet made its United States premiered in U.S. theaters on this date 20 years ago today. So 20 years ago today, Rich Crest Animation Studios' Muhammad the Last Prophet made its U.S. premiere on this date in back in 2004. The plot, the film follows Muhammad's first years as prophet, starting with Islam's beginnings in Mecca, in which the Muslims are persecuted, the exodus to Medina, and ending with the Muslims' triumphant return to Mecca. A number of crucial events, such as the Battle of Badr, the Battle of Uhud, the Battle of the Trench, and conquest of Mecca are depicted. Oh, there we go with that. So 20 years ago today, Muhammad, the Last Prophet, premiered in U.S. theaters on this date 20 years ago today. And finally, on this date 6 years ago today, back in 2018, on this date, back in 2018, 6 years ago today, the 25th issue of Beauty from Image Comics went on sale on this date back in 2018. So 6 years ago today, 25th issue of 25th issue of Beauty from Image Comics went on sale on this date back in 2018. Sold for $3.99 with 28 pages. So with that being said, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Of course, we'll be back here with more niche news tomorrow. Of course, we'll be looking ahead to this Saturday's AEW Collision, as well as going over tonight's Impact results on the, of course, Wrestling Wrap Up. And of course, this Sunday, I'll be the Metal from the Vomitorium will be joining me, as we will be looking back to comics that went on sale in April of 1940. This week, we'll be focusing in on books that went on sale from MLJ Enterprises, who we know of today as Archie Comics. We'll be, of course, going over the Monsconian Menace storyline. Also be introducing you guys to MLJ's version of the Fox. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.